From our studio located in Madison, New Jersey, Alan Swanson.
These are some of the headlines making news in the last 2 weeks. Study: many toxic chemicals enter blood via food packaging. Scientists just discovered how many chemicals in food packaging can leach into humans. These headlines are all related to a report released on September 17th in the Journal of Exposure Science and Environmental Epidemiology. The title: Evidence for Widespread Human Exposure to Food Contact Chemicals. The reason these headlines are so important is that this is the first comprehensive evaluation of the chemicals contained in plastic food packaging and contained in some blood samples of most humans. What did the researchers do? They took the list of thousands of chemicals known to be used in the production of plastic used in the food industry. They then looked at multiple studies of chemicals found in humans. They discovered that as many as 3,600 chemicals in plastics are also in humans. The bad news is they found 79 chemicals in food packaging and in humans are known to be toxic. These chemicals are known to cause cancer, genetic mutations, endocrine and reproductive issues, and other health concerns. If you go to any major supermarket these days, you are confronted with a huge amount of plastic packaging used to hold most of our fruits and vegetables. It is this packaging that contains the chemicals found in our bodies. Even single items are often contained in their own wrappers. A great way to expose your fruits to plastic packaging is to cut it up and place it in its own package. Or my favorite, the organic produce section, where nearly every organic item is placed in containers made from oil and chemicals. How does this happen? Don't we have regulations? Doesn't the Food and Drug Administration authorize our foods and packaging to be safe? The answer is GRAS. Not the stuff in our yards. The GRAS stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. This term is applied to items in our food chain that end up in our bodies. The problem is the sheer volume of chemicals and additives, including in that food chain, is beyond the capability of the FDA to test. What was the solution to this problem? Of course, it is to allow the manufacturers of the chemicals and additives to declare that their researchers have determined an item is generally recognized to be safe. Great for the manufacturers, but perhaps not so great for us, the consumers. Here are 2 plastic containers, usually encountered in most kitchens. They're identified on the bottom as being microwave safe. Now, we know from many studies that heating food items in plastic increases the leaching of the chemicals in the containers to the food. So the question arises, who decided the container is safe in a microwave? Microwave safe for what? The food container or the food that goes in it? If I take this item and I place it in a microwave and heat up something, it will look pretty much the same. The problem is, will the food I heat up in this container now have chemicals used in making the container? Now it's time to ask, what does all this mean? It means that each of us has to take responsibility for determining, are the foods we consume safe or not? How do we do that? Read the labels. This is a problem. First, the food additives are often just identified as added for color, preservatives, artificial flavors, and on and on. Second, the packaging contains no label identifying what went into its production. Third, try to buy produce that is not in plastic containers. Use produce bags that are not made of plastic. And when you can, go to farmers markets and buy local. Fourth, move away from plastic in every way possible. Use refillables. Carry your own containers to your local coffee shop. Carry your own leftover bag. And finally, what should we ask our leaders to do? The most important thing we can do is enact regulations that require manufacturers to identify the chemicals they are using to produce our foods and our packaging. There is some promise in this area because the article that we're talking about has prompted legislatures to start taking a look at this issue. The real good news is that this knowledge is power. And with this knowledge, you could go out and advocate for change and be healthier. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the presenters and contributors. While we do support a diversity of perspectives, they may not reflect the views of the entire team. We encourage open dialogue and welcoming differing viewpoints. Real Good News is produced by Mortenveld Productions. For Real Good News, I'm Diane Kirsch.